Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to get into the topic of lucid dreaming once again because I had the most epic lucid dream last night and it's like nothing that I've ever experienced in my life. I had to look it up and discovered that it's called dream chaining, jumping from one dream to another. So there's intentional dream transitions that can occur, and I'm just going to explain the definition and tell you the story of what I had experienced firsthand last night. And it was so clear to me that I literally woke up at 4 a.m. and I just had to jot down all of the things and kind of talk about it. So let's get into it. One lucid dream. Once you lucid dream, you can deliberately exit a current dream and visualize entering into another. This is often done by focusing on a specific image, location, or desire to shift scenarios. And so I'm going to explain to you what had happened and what had transpired. I recall so vividly being in a dream and getting to the top of this hill with a dear friend of mine, and what had happened was that it was during sunset, and all of a sudden we were on this hill trying to escape the lava that was kind of coming up. And we were at the point of no return where we were going to get burned. And it wasn't until the moment that we would have been burned, I realized that I wasn't feeling the heat. And I said to him, I was like, oh my God, we are in a dream. We can shift to another place. We're gonna be okay. And at that moment in time, he vanished, and I literally visualized another destination and jumped off and landed in what felt like a dollhouse. And I just like fell on the pieces, and I was bigger than these little pieces. So I felt really minuscule and really tiny, but it was the most insane thing. And I had to look it up to ask, like, what is this? What transpired? And discovered that this is called an intentional dream transition. So that was my one dream transition that I had of many last night. I think it's wild because when they say you visualize entering into another, I remember so clearly that in that moment I was like, okay, I am safe, I am okay, I can decide where I'm gonna go and escape this because this is not real. And that was literally what I thought to myself in my dream. And that is fucking wild. Like, I can't believe I did that. Later on, I continue on in this dream and I end up back in this space that felt like another parallel reality of my office space and where I work. In my workspace, there's certain people that I work with, and it happened to be a merge of the people that I work with, the space, the environment, and then also the people that I've come across in my life. So there are just a multitude of personalities and people, and everybody merged into one place and time. I believe that I have a lot of peace with it, but I wonder if my dreams are actually stating the opposite. Perhaps there are things that I still need to face and sort out and get more clear on, because it could potentially be something that I'm subconsciously unaware of. I was in this space and I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, this is wild. I'm like, I know I'm in a dream and I see my friend here and I see my brother, and we're all kind of interacting in a space. It felt like I was in a parallel reality where they were not acting like themselves. They were acting like the polar opposite of how they would be, I guess you could say. Everything seemed kind of fake and like not realistic, but I was like, oh, this is strange. It was like another world that I could not have made up, and yet it's everything that I had made up in my mind. So every single person in this particular dream was the opposite of what they are in reality, in waking life. It even got to the point where I was in the space and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go find my boyfriend. I like walked through this dream, went outside as if I knew exactly where I was going and where I was headed. So it's as if I'd been here before. And I went to his desk And I saw him and I was like, oh my God, I can meet you here. It was like this realization that I don't know, it sounds a little bit morbid, but the concept of emptiness has been something that I've been reflecting on. And if you haven't really reflected on the concept of how emptiness is form and form is emptiness, it's a Buddhist principle, one of their truths. So I would recommend looking into that because it's really affected the way that I view life in general. I see him and he's also somebody that I don't recognize, the complete opposite, but I felt like, wow, this is a dreamscape that I can come back to, and I can find him when he's gone later on. He happens to be slightly older than me, and so I don't worry about that, but I have it as of late, so that to me was kind of a thought or a reflection of it. After that, there was another dream where I decided to leave, and somehow I think it was like I was slowly waking up, and I think this is the concept of dream chaining. Dream chaining is when you wake up momentarily from a dream but manage to fall back asleep consciously. And I remember slightly waking up. I was following someone and someone was leading me somewhere. There were glass windows and glass doors that I was walking through, and they were literally these men in suits with massive heads, but I couldn't see their faces. It was like as if it were blurred. So I think that they were aliens. And honestly, in some ways now, I truly believe that we can expand our consciousness through reading, and we can expand our consciousness through science and mind exploration. And this is why I was able to experience this sort of dream, because I had been reading this other book, started reading this book about time and about our perception of time. It's gotten me more curious about space and time and getting into science and science behind relativity and quantum theory. And so I can't wait to share my findings and the fascinations that I've gotten from this book. My goal is to read one book a week, and so far so good. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up the video here. The key point here is that in order to start your journey of lucid dreaming, you really need to get into the mindset of expanding your consciousness. But I will be sharing that in my next video moving forth, and I'm sending y'all the love.